Thank you to the founding sponsor of Undivided, 1530 Mortgage. Visit them at 1530mortgage.com. I want to follow up on a topic we discussed on the show last week, and that is the prolific shoplifting rings that are taking over really a lot of progressive cities, including the city of Seattle. We discussed this last week as we talked about a problem block in Seattle, 3rd and Pine, where it's just this open air market where you can buy all sorts of stolen goods. Treat yourself. In December of last year, so just a couple months ago, the Seattle Police Department did this big sting operation where they had undercover officers at the downtown Seattle Target, and they made 35 arrests for shoplifting. A lot of it was booze stolen from the Target, kitchen supplies, things like that. They arrested 35 people, but they released 34 of them pending charges. One had a DOC warrant and was booked. In an effort to better understand who these people are, these prolific shoplifters, I wanted to spend some time today highlighting 5 of the people who were picked up during this undercover shoplifting sting, and let you decide whether you believe that these are crimes of poverty or crimes that are being driven by something else. We chose 5 suspects who represented different races and ages, but all have one thing in common. Shoplifting is far from the most serious crime they've committed. Take Francisco Castrojon Santoyo. The 34-year-old is accused of stealing $375 worth of merchandise from Target, things like office supplies, toys, and electronics. He also had 3 fentanyl pills on him at the time. Not surprising considering his criminal history includes drug crimes, but also things like malicious mischief, possession of burglary tools, theft, and assault. But it's a 2013 arrest that stands out. Castrojon Santoyo was arrested in Seattle for pouring oil over a stranger's car and stuffing a newspaper in the gas tank. He had a butcher knife and lighters in his pockets. According to court records, he told police his plan was to, quote, set the vehicle on fire, get inside, and blow himself up. Prosecutors pled the case down. Not the first time Castrojon Santoyo would be given a slap on the wrist, despite failing to appear in court several times. Now to Francis Garrett Fields, just 24 years old and homeless. He was cited in the sting after trying to leave Target with around $175 in items like stationery and Febreze. And it wasn't his first or last run-in with police at a Target. Just 2 months later, at a different Seattle Target, he was arrested for allegedly assaulting a security guard who tried to stop him from leaving with merchandise valued at nearly $500. And back in 2020, police say Fields tried to break into the downtown Target by using a heavy chain to smash a window. As for what's driving the crimes, Fields has a documented history of drug use, including crystal meth, and told police he's a diagnosed schizophrenic who doesn't take his medication. Meet our 3rd suspect, David Tate, a homeless drug user out of Florida. He has criminal history in at least 4 states. He's managed to rack up a number of arrests in Washington since arriving here in 2016, and some of the cases are terrifying. In 2017, he was arrested for brandishing an 18-inch machete downtown. Several people called 911 to report that he was lunging at passersby and threatening to kill people. In another case, he ran at and tackled a woman who was visiting Seattle from Arizona. He told officers he was high on meth and hearing voices. In 2021, Tate was arrested for throwing rocks at random cars. And in perhaps the most serious case, police linked Tate to a series of arsons in 2019, including this one at a park in a residential neighborhood. In that case, King County prosecutors told the court that Tate, quote, appears to be a serial arsonist and has endangered multiple lives over the course of the past several weeks. Yet prosecutors pled his case down to reckless burning and ordered him to undergo a mental health evaluation. Finally, meet Andrea Broussard and Mikhail Andrews. They were arrested together, accused of stealing boots, cords, and a dinner plate set from Target, valued at around $150. She's homeless. He has a history of squatting in properties and refusing to leave. Both have lengthy criminal histories dating back to the 1980s. In fact, both have shoplifting convictions in Seattle from nearly 40 years ago. Andrea has at least 12 felony convictions, including assault, theft, and possession with intent, along with more than 20 misdemeanors. Mikhail has had more than 30 warrants since 1986. His convictions include theft, robbery, forgery, and assault. And these are all cases that we are going to be following through the system to see how Seattle's new city attorney, Ann Davison, response to them? Is she planning on filing charges against these individuals? These are people who have, really seen failure at every level of the criminal justice system, when they were given diversion, when they were given suspended sentences, mental health evaluations, options to deal with their drug habits, and then, traditional prosecution. So what do you do with people who have, for instance, dozens of criminal convictions dating back 3 decades? How can you interrupt that cycle when you've got somebody who's been shoplifting in the same area of the city for 30 years? Very challenging. It shows you, I think, the complexity of these cases. And so we'll be talking to the city attorney's office about what she plans to do differently that perhaps previous prosecutors didn't do, and how can we stop these repeat offenders from continuing this criminal cycle. I want to take a minute to tell you about the founding sponsor of Undivided 1530 Mortgage. And what does it mean to be the founding sponsor? Well, it means that when I quit my job in corporate media and was panicking figuring out how I was going to make independent journalism work, 1530 Mortgage stood up and said, "We believe in what you're doing. We want to help." And they became the founding sponsor of Undivided. And I love working with them as a company. First of all, their mission is clear. 1530 Mortgage wants to get you into your dream home as quickly as possible. And that's what we all want, right? We want a company we can trust with one of the most important decisions that we're going to make in our lives. And also, I liked 1530 Mortgage because they believe in the mission of the show. They also support our men and women in uniform, which is very important to me. And they're very pet friendly. If you go to 1530mortgage.com, just take a look at what a central role that pets play in their idea of what it means to have a dream home. It's more than just the house. It's all the things you love that are in the house that make it a home. And you guys know I have a slight obsession with our 2 dogs and our old, weird, wacko cat Edison. So I am so grateful to 1530 Mortgage for having my back, and I know that they'll be a great partner for you in your adventure to home ownership.